Hello, beautiful people. It's Reverend Beth Walker here from my home in Victoria, BC. I thought I'd take an opportunity to share with you my practice of reading scripture. The ancient practice of Lectio Divina offers a way to read scripture. This is a path. This contemplative path dates back to the early centuries of the Christian Church and was established as a monastic practice by Saint Benedict in the 6th century. Lectio Divina means sacred reading. It is an ancient practice of listening deeply to texts, music, nature, art, and to our own sacred lives. In this deep listening, we hear guidance for our own blessed life. Through the practice of Lectio Divina, we become present to each moment in a heart-centered way. We connect with the infinite source of compassion already dwelling within ourselves. We have an opportunity to cultivate more kindness toward ourselves, others, and creation. This practice takes time, and as I do my research about the scripture, I remember the biases, I recall teachings that I have received. Often for me, there is more to put down than there is to pick up. But always, if I allow the scripture to work on me using the practice of listening, reading, meditating, walking away, praying, or sharing in community, or as I'm going to be doing today, journaling, painting, I will share with you in this video, something new is revealed, and I give thanks. This is living with scripture. It's not a destination, and if we are patient, wisdom is revealed. So let us begin with our scripture passage. Hello, Sophie. Sophie wants to be here today too. Now when the Pharisees and some of the scribes who had come from Jerusalem gathered around him, they noticed that some of his disciples were eating with defiled hands, that is, without washing them. For the Pharisees and all the Jews do not eat unless they thoroughly wash their hands, and thus observing the tradition of the elders. And they do not eat anything from the market unless they wash it. They are also many other traditions that observe the washing of cups, pots, and bronze kettles. So the Pharisees and the scribes asked him, "Why do your disciples not live according to the tradition of the elders, but eat with defiled hands?" He said to them, "Isaiah prophesies rightly about your hypocrisies. This people honor me with their lips, but their hearts are far from me. In vain they worship me, teaching human precepts as doctrines. You abandon the command of God and hold to human tradition." Then he called a crowd again and said to them, "Listen to me, all of you, and understand, there's nothing outside a person that by going in can defile, but things that come out are what defile. For it is from within, from the human heart, that evil intentions come: fornication, theft, murder, adultery, wickedness, deceit, lecherous, envy, slander, pride, folly. All these evil things come from within, and they defile a person." This is a story of our faith. There are 5 steps to Lectio Divina as we practice in our community. First step is to read scripture, listen to scripture. I have read this scripture passage using a couple of tools. I have read it in my Bible. I have, this is the Message, and I have the Access Bible. I also have a new Bible, which I'm enjoying, the Jewish Annotated New Testament, and it's excellent book. I also have found these scripture passages on Bible Gateway. I'm going to add those links to the comments section, and you can toggle back and forth between different versions of the Bible, and you'll be amazed by how many versions they have in this app. I sometimes highlight words from that have come forward as I read the scripture. Now, I think it's always fun. Like, I found it earlier this morning and now I've closed it up. But it tends to be a bit of a treasure chest of my thoughts. It's interesting to find little pieces of paper in here where I've scribbled down thoughts. But I underline words and images that I think are relevant to my context and to my particular time. What am I working on in my own beautiful life? And so you can go old school and use books, or you can use computer. It's fun to see what has grabbed my attention in the past and what I'm working on now. Listening to words, to the silence, noticing images that are just for me. And this day I've highlighted some of these words that have caught my attention. Some words challenge me, like Pharisees and all the Jews. They make me cringe a bit. I've learned from my research and reading of Gillian Levine, I think I've talked about this book before, these separation of people that Mark seems to want to do, the people who are in and out. This is the beginning of separating, and these are the roots of some very negative things. Other thoughts I need to work on are, there is nothing outside a person that by going in can defile. Interesting. Step 3 is about meditating on these words and images and silence. I can't emphasize to you how important silence is to me in this process. Reading, watching videos, consulting, chatting with people, very important, but silence is a piece that helps me discern what's most important to me as I read and other people's thoughts and the scripture. Now, when it comes to other people's thoughts, I've already mentioned Amy Jill Levine, but I've also I like to go to The Working Preacher, which is a Lutheran resource. Now, this is very different from my United Church perspective, and sometimes for me, seeing different perspectives helps me find my own perspective. Not that others are wrong or bad. I also look at images. If you know me at all, I am very much about images. I don't know why I added that to be the last thing when it's often the first thing that I do, because looking at images often help me unpack my thought. And I think in images. This is just how my brain works. Journaling, sharing, praying on the scripture, well, this is the next step. I think I've kind of pointed to it all along. But things that have jumped out, that have inspired me, that have helped me make meaning for me in this moment in time. And I want to emphasize that all of this just does take time. Some things pop up immediately to me, but other things take time. So I give thanks, because this is how it works. This is how relationships work. It's not all about the right answers or the most comfortable answers. So you might be wondering, what does this scripture mean to me? Well, first, I want to share that this is, for me, a very challenging scripture, as the scripture shares that evil lies within our hearts. Not always my first go-to thought when it comes to myself, but then maybe I'm not truly in touch with who I am. Always food for thought. But it does say that we can control how we react to actions or the bad stuff that happens to us. It would seem that we have a choice in life, and I think this is why I picked water as the most essential piece of the scripture, because it would seem to me that water flows. It has a sense of time, and in the image that I chose, it flows over the hands, which means you have a hard time holding on to it. But this image is relational because you do get wet, but you can't really hold on to it. Now, these are just a window into my thoughts. I would need more time to work on this, but I am truly interested to see where this will take me. This is the power of Scripture. It is a way to live. It is a pathway to wisdom. So thank you for joining me on this little journey into my inside world. This may frighten you, or it may encourage you. My true hope is that it inspires you to see that it is not a destination, but truly a journey that will bring you to a beautiful and blessed life.